I'm the older lady who took Prince Harry's virginity. It was only 5 minutes, I did slap his bum and I remember his underwear. A former Highgrove groom has revealed she is the older woman who took Prince Harry's virginity in a field behind a busy pub. Sasha Walpole, 40, told The Sun on Sunday they had a passionate 5-minute romp while the royal security searched for him in a blue Ford Fiesta. Digger driver Sasha said of their summer night tryst in July 2001, "It was literally wham bam between two friends." The mum of two who had sex with Virgin Prince Harry behind a pub has spoken for the first time. Sasha Walpole admitted the booze-fueled sex came after the pair downed 10 shots of tequila, Baileys, and Sambuca. Harry, who at 38 is just 2 years younger, sparked a worldwide guessing game after his memoir Spare disclosed that he had first had sex with an older lover. He wrote that he was aged 17. Sasha said, "I am the woman who took Harry's virginity. It was literally wham bam between two friends. The sex was passionate and sparky because we shouldn't have been doing it. One thing just quickly led to another. We ended up on the floor." The one-off encounter took place in a meadow behind the car park of the historic Vine Tree Inn in Norton, Wiltshire, in July 2001. At the time Harry was just 16, a year younger than his autobiography claims. Harry and Sasha, who now works as a digger driver, knew each other from when she worked as a stable girl at Highgrove, the country retreat of King Charles, and previously enjoyed trips to polo matches together. The pair had sex after leaving a party held at the pub to mark Sasha's 19th birthday. Afterwards Harry hid in a red phone box to avoid being seen before Sasha's pal Bryony drove a protection officer to him in her blue Ford Fiesta. Sasha, now a married mum of two, said, "We went outside and both climbed a 3-bar fence to the field. We were quite drunk at this point. I gave Harry a cigarette. I lit mine and then his. We finished our cigarettes, Marlboro Lights, and it just happened. He started to kiss me. He was wearing boxers. There was no chatting, no words. It was exciting that it was happening. It was exciting that it was happening like the way it was. We were away for 15 minutes but the sex was about 5 minutes. In Spare, Harry writes about his tender penis following a 200-mile North Pole expedition, adding, "I'd been horrified to discover that my nether regions were frost-nipped as well, and while the ears and cheeks were already healing, the todger wasn't." Sasha said, "In that case Harry must have had an above-average problem with that, from what I can recollect. We didn't set out to do it and it wasn't premeditated. He was young. We had been purely friends and it was a little bit naughty, in the sense that it shouldn't have been happening. I remember I was wearing black trousers from New Look with a fitted black top and black leather boots, and a wide multicolored belt with a pattern on the back. When I went back to the pub, I didn't have my belt. It wasn't Prince Harry to me. It was Harry, my friend, and something that got a little bit out of control. It just so happened that he was a prince. Afterwards I did grab his bum and gave him a slap. It was with one hand. He had a lovely peachy bum but he was young." Sasha agreed to speak to The Sun on Sunday after being left shocked by Harry's disclosures in his book Spare, which has so far sold 3.2 million copies worldwide. The prince, who has backed an HIV awareness campaign, was paid a reported £17 million advance. Sasha said, "No one warned me about the night being included in the book, and Harry, or his people, could have found me to tell me if they had wanted to do so. I lead a peaceful life, I didn't invite this." On the day of their liaison, Harry had visited Thorpe Park in Surrey with pals before returning to the pub that night. Meanwhile, Sasha had completed a shift at a knicker factory after her Highgrove contract had ended. During the evening, she told him she was upset about splitting from her first proper boyfriend. but later that night her ex turned up at the pub with his new girlfriend. Sasha said, Harry was a friend and knew I was gutted and upset. So when the girlfriend rocked up, he knew how I was feeling. He didn't give me a hug, instead he brought me shots. He brought me some shots to kind of say, come on, let's lift the mood. I didn't see him go to the bar, but he came up to me and said, happy birthday, let's do some drinks. Not long after this girl got there. There were about 5 each, a tequila, a Bailey's, Sambuca, a mixture on a black bar tray. And we downed them between us. Shot by shot. After consoling his pal, at around 11 p.m. Harry suggested the pair go outside the Vine Tree 6 miles from King Charles and Camilla's Highgrove estate for a cigarette together. The pair avoided Harry's security detail and walked through a beer garden before clambering over the fence into the field where they romped. Harry's menders had started looking for him by the time their liaison had ended. Sasha added, it was pitch dark, about 11 p.m. but a warm evening. We sneaked out because Harry didn't want his security team to see him smoking. Prince Charles was unhappy about his habit. William had been there earlier in the evening, but I think he'd gone before chucking out time. It was a meadow with grass up to my ankles. We could hear the people in the pub, but the only way that somebody could have seen us really is if they put their headlights on in proper focus from the car park. At the time I didn't know he was a virgin. I didn't think about it then. There were no virgin vibes from him, he seemed to know what he was doing. I knew when thinking about it afterwards that he was a virgin. I hadn't known him to have slept with anyone. And obviously, I've been hanging around with him for a few years. So yeah, I think I kind of knew, but at the time, I don't think it was a thing. But we were both drunk. It wouldn't have happened if we weren't. It was just a moment of passion, spontaneous, wild, exciting. Obviously I must have fancied him on some level, as he was sparky and up for a laugh. Afterwards there was the realization, St. What are we doing? Or what have we done? I don't remember us kissing afterwards. It was just like, okay, where do we go from there? We said we had to go in separate directions back to the pub, which in hindsight was probably more obvious. I went back over the fence through the garden. A lot of people were outside, as it was kicking out time by the time we'd finished. My friends saw me and started laughing. I didn't have my belt, and it's obvious when you come back a bit disheveled from a field. We had been gone about 15 minutes, and it was long enough for the security to start worrying where he was. Everyone was coming out of the pub and Harry wasn't there. My friend Bryony had ended up in her blue 1.1 Fiesta with one of the backup security guards driving around on a Harry hunt. They found him in a phone box down the road. I didn't see him though. The next day my friend Bryony drove me back to the pub at lunchtime. I hopped back over the fence, and my belt was there. Following their romp, Sasha never saw or spoke to Harry again. She said, Harry and I never texted or rang each other after that. I didn't mind. I wasn't embarrassed. Was I disappointed he didn't ring? No. It was circumstances, we weren't going out, we didn't need to ring each other. Sasha's pal Bryony last week recalled the incident, saying, I noticed that they had gone. The officer jumped in my car. I knew he was only going to be around the corner. And I dropped him at the phone box. And Harry was in the phone box just outside the pub. So he jumped out, went to speak with Harry. I swung the car around. And as I came back to the car park, Sasha come around and there was lots of people saying, where have you been? And she jumped in the car and I took her home.